Hi, I'm Jeremy Rugerberg. Thanks for joining the show. What you're about to see is the shortened version of the full-length interview. Here's a question that I often hear about my friends who develop and create apps.
You can do surgery with both hands.
You can just feel it out.
That's what surgery
like
is
rebuilding
about.
a carburetor. You are the Jimi Hendrix of surgery. If you'd like to see more of the interview, please go to our Patreon page. Information is in the show notes. Now, let's get to the show. Hey, welcome to the show today. I'm really excited to have Dr. Francisco Jacome in the studio today. He is a bariatric surgeon with Doctors Hospital and his own private practice, and he'd even developed an app called Heal Club. We're going to hear more about that in a minute, but first I wanted to introduce him and welcome you to the show. Thanks for being in the studio today.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate that.
So I love to start off the show with very, very intimate, personal questions that may make you tear up or cry, or may make, your fiance weep with embarrassment. So my first question is, how long do you think you would survive the zombie apocalypse?
Oh, no, I'm dead immediately.
I honestly don't think 80% of Americans would be good zombies because you have to walk so much.
True.
Do you think French zombies, I think they still smoke?
Yeah, Europe still smokes
They
heavily.
probably do.
Yeah.
One bad thing too about being a zombie is your only diet is human flesh. Like, that's a very specific diet.
Oh, brain. Human brain.
Is it just brain?
Is
That's
brain?
even more
Brain and
specific.
heart.
I thought it was everything. I thought everything was, but it's human. Like, they
Human
only
brain.
eat human. You don't see them eating like tree bark or plants,
Vegetables.
vegetables.
They don't need fiber.
Let's just say they would consume Bruce Lee, but they would never touch broccoli. Do you have any zombie stories from your home country or monster stories?
Satanism stories, will that count?
Yeah, that's pretty dark.
Do you want something dark?
The darkest. I've got my sunglasses on. I'm ready.
Okay, let's do it. I was probably at 12 years old, and there were rumors on the town where I lived of a guy who had to be 18, 19, that did a black mass. You know what a black mass is?
Yeah, like a satanic.
Like a satanic celebration.
It's a ceremony.
But it usually is a ceremony, and I may be wrong, but this is what it went around. Ceremony to ask for the death of someone. So this guy made this mass asking for the death of another kid. That kid found out and did what they call kind of like a claim. So I'm not the one dying. And 17 names were asked at that mass, so they will die instead of him. And this is real. I mean, I'm being real. So I had to be probably on 6th grade, maybe 7th grade. And all of a sudden, within a short period of time, people start dying. Kids.
Your classmates.
From the schools around
the
where
school.
I lived. I mean, because we were all in private schools. Because in Ecuador, public school is nothing. So you go to private school, but it's not the same cost as here. So kids from my school who were on 11th and 12th grade, it just started dying. Car accidents, assaults, but one after another. So the voice became public on the fact that somebody had made this mass So the local priest created the youth mass, which was every Friday at 6 p.m. And he started doing it. So 12 kids died. And the priest started doing the mass. And all of a sudden, nobody else died. The mass was held every Friday for 6 months in a row. Around 6 months, the priest's mother died in Italy. He flew to Italy, and the mass was missed that Friday. That Friday at midnight, 5 more kids died.
Wow. And that was the number 17.
That was the number 17.
Wow.
Now, me and my friends, I was probably about 11, 12. 11, 12, you're with a bike, so you think you can go anywhere. So the specific place where the mass was held was a castle called the Gringo Loco Castle, right?
Seems fitting.
I know, right? So with my friends, which if you really look at it, it's not a castle. It's just ruins of a castle that has a ton of different tunnels that you can go through. But you can see where there was an actual construction there. So with my friends, we sneak into this place and where the mass was supposed to be. And you could see the names of the kids that have died written with a chalk on a stone wall.
Oh, wow. So someone was keeping track of all that.
So that's what we thought, right? So we erased them. We kind of scratched them, erased them, put water on them, kind of washed them off. Went back home, came back the next day. All 12 names were exactly the way they were before.
Oh, wow.
Like nobody had ever touched them.
Wow. That is creepy.
Yeah, very creepy. So when the 17 kids died, you could read the 17 names there.
Wow. Do you think they're still there?
Well, no, they fenced that out. Police fenced it out, and it was a big deal. Then they end up demolishing it, and right now there's a subdivision there.
Oh, wow.
Well, somewhere where I would not want to live.
Yes, I was living on top of that. How did you end up here in Augusta, Georgia?
In Ecuador, I had English as part of my schooling, right? But for me, English was you play basketball, you play baseball, or you watch a movie in English. There wasn't really
studying
class or studying, right? But I mean, we had cable TV, so I was able to understand somewhat cable TV, especially the Flintstones, that kind of thing. So I thought I was able to speak and understand English. So there is me, got a visa to go to Canada because my idea was to do general surgery residency in Canada, not here in the US. So I pack my things and go to take the licensing examinations in Canada. Take the plane, land in Canada, confident in my English, go to customs, stand in front of the guy, and the guy could not understand a word. I couldn't understand what the guy was saying. He couldn't understand what I was saying, so they had to call a translator. And the translator explained what I was doing. So I got into Canada. This, if I'm not wrong, this has to be February the 3rd. I was taking the test February the 4th.
Oh, wow.
A medical licensing examination in Canada.
Wow. In English.
Yeah.
Shoo.
Yeah, in English. So obviously I took the test and I really didn't understand much. I mean, kind of have an idea because, some of the language is similar, but, I had to score 304 to pass. I scored 303.
Wow, man. And then what happened? I mean, you have to retake it? Can you
you can retake it. So if you pass, you're stuck with that score. If you don't pass, then you have the opportunity to kind of study and retake it. So during that time, I went back to Ecuador, kind of look for a school to be able to kind of relearn medical school in English, because that's what you got to do.
Was that hard on your ego? I mean, you went there and then you didn't, and then you got to go back to your family, and they're like, "Hey, what happened?
So
did you bomb it?" You're like, "I missed it by 1 point."
So for you to have an idea, in Ecuador, medical school, my medical school or medical school in general is really easy to get into. You just say, "I want to go." They tell, "Okay, come in." The problem is finishing medical school because the pyramidal program in the city. When I started medical school, 5,000 people started
in the same class.
The same, but multiple schools, not just one school.
Gotcha.
Multiple schools. It's 2.8 at that time was 2.83 million people city, but only 86 graduated. You don't only need to be good to graduate. You need to find a way to be, on the top.
Oh, yeah. The greatest.
Correct.
Yeah.
So when I went to Canada and I didn't pass the test, talking about hitting an ego. So I went back to Ecuador, kind of prepared to go back in, I think it was 2 weeks. And I went back and stayed in Canada. It had to be February all the way through August.
Oh, wow.
And, I studied English. I learned English, and then I did medical school.
Okay,
Pretty
so
much re-studying everything.
it's pretty darn good to
You know?
score a 303 without even understanding the language. That's probably a lot higher than I would have made understanding the language, but not the content.
I mean, some of the things, so simple things. I'm going to give you an example, right? My understanding that stomach is your stomach, right?
Yeah.
What's belly?
Stomach for a child.
Right. That's my point. So the questions were cases. Patient so-and-so comes complaining of belly pain.
Oh, yeah.
And like, belly?
What is this belly?
What do you mean by belly?
So some of the language
know?
is book clinical and some of it's colloquial spoken.
And that was the problem.
Yeah.
Because if it's book, I knew it. The problems are all the expressions.
So that gives me a sense of when I'm around other Ecuadorian physicians, I'll be like, dang, you're like the creme of the creme. Like you are at the top of your game.
I think if you are a foreign person, so you did your medical school somewhere else, and you came to the U.S. and passed all those testings,
Yeah.
it puts you, to me, is a lot harder,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a lot harder. It's not harder the fact that you're moving, is the fact that you're got to relearn everything that you study for 8 years in a period of about 6 months to take testing to be compared to U.S. graduates in a whole different language.
Right. So all in all, how many years did you invest in your getting into the U.S. with medical degree?
October 2003 to July 2005.
Okay.
About a year and a half.
Yeah.
But during that time, I took the Canadians, the USMLEs, the Mexican boards, the boards from Chile, and the boards from Spain.
Which one were the most challenging out of those
Spain.
countries?
Spain.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I would have never thought
And
that.
that's in my own language.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Spain.
So is there anything in particular, I don't want to belabor the point of Ecuador, but it's just a fun part of your story. Is there anything that, like your family, do you have any weird traditions that you kind of miss?
New Year is a wild celebration.
Mm-hmm.
So New Year, the tradition is that the year that is dying is an old man dying. So the way it's built and constructed is the old man dying lives a widow, right?
Yeah.
And the actual middle of the midnight, when the New Year starts, is when the guy dies, right?
Okay.
So the day prior to, we all build
Like an
a
edifice?
dummy. No, like a dummy, like a doll.
Yeah, like a
That
is it a-
represents an old
Is
dude.
it a big one though?
Yes, I
think
mean,
I've seen
like
it.
human size.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think I've
it's
seen
not. It's
that.
not a little one. It's like human size.
Right.
And a lot of people put different masks and everything. Right now, it's very popular for cartoons or the president to be there. But when I was a kid, it was more, just an old dude that you make, and you stuff it with whatever you can.
Like money, drugs,
Fireworks,
hay.
hay, fireworks, hay, something like that. So basically, you stuff it with whatever you can, and then you sit it on the side of the road, and you build that kind of like a little house around it, and usually you put the guy smoking or with alcohol in front of him, and then people dress as the widow, and you cross a rope on the public road.
Okay.
And then every time that a car wants to pass, the widows dance in front of the car and ask for money for the cremation at midnight of the guy
old
that's
man.
died. Correct. So that can turn into a big problem.
Oh,
Put that on a
sure.
highway.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the car is backed up like miles.
Oh, man.
What usually will take you a 5-minute drive, it can take you a 2-hour drive.
What if you don't have spare cash with you?
What
do you do?
it's not that they make you give
Oh.
in, but you got to go through the rope, and the tradition is the widow will dance in front of you. But the widows are not girls.
They're all guys dressed
Drags.
in blue coats like me.
Yeah.
Dancing. That's awesome.
Usually a black coat, I would say. So the money that is collected, people use it to make the party. So at midnight, a will is somebody makes a will and they read it, but the will is making fun of the family members and what their faults are and what the old guy is leaving them to get better, right? So and then at midnight it gets burned, and then the new year begins.
So you burn the edifice of this old man, right?
Yeah, the doll. You burn the doll, and usually it has fireworks, and there's a big firework activity in the middle of the night.
That's
kind of like the 4th of July. Here, it's New Year's.
I would like to bring that tradition to the States. That would be so fun. So how exactly did you start in medicine? Like what is your story about wanting to get into medicine?
Medical school. It's no story. I was in 5th grade. I woke up and I said, I want to be a doctor. Not I want to be a doctor. I want to be a surgeon. I didn't even know I had to go into medical school to become a surgeon. Where, how, when, why, no clue.
So it was almost a calling.
Clear the path.
It was a calling that just kind of arrived.
I think so.
To you.
I think so. I think it was, was meant to be. Because in my head, there was never an option. There were some temptations along the way. No one in my family is a doctor.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you have anybody in the medical space at all? Extended family?
So extended family, yes. An uncle. Okay. He was an orthopedic surgeon. So when I was over here would be like 9th grade, he will take me to the operating room, and I will spend the summers in the operating room with him. And that was just amazing.
Back then. You could get into places like that back then.
Yeah, you could get into places. And for me, it was fascinating. I mean, you don't get to touch anything but to watch it. But I could spend the entire day, every day, for the entire summer, going there at 7 in the morning, leaving at 4 p.m., watching surgeries.
And you were like 9 or 10 years old in a surgical theater watching them cut someone open.
I had to be probably not 9 or 10. I'm probably 9th grade or 10th grade.
Gotcha.
So I had to be about 15, 16. And that just sealed the deal for me. I want to be a doctor and I want to be a surgeon. So my initial intention was to do general surgery in France.
Wait, why France?
Because a cousin of mine has a connection in the healthcare system there. So in my mind, there was a good possibility because it can help me get into surgery.
Yeah, but why France?
I thought I see.
Is it just because it was just a distant country, adventure, fun, beautiful people, beautiful?
No, because I thought it would be easier to get in than either Canada or the United States. So I thought it would be easier.
But it wasn't in the end?
Well, I learned French.
You learned French too?
But then, yeah.
Did you watch the Flintstones in French?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So I learned French, but, France requires you to do 1 year of learning the language. So you gotta, in front of the government, you gotta pass certain level of learning of the language. And then you gotta do another year of where you just, I guess, do clinicals at the different hospitals for them to feel comfortable with you, so then you could apply.
Yeah.
And it was too long of a path. I aborted there, but by then I had already been over a year taking French.
Right. Do you use your French at all?
Never.
Do
I remember it? No.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Me llamo J. Don, la araña discoteca.
Discoteca, muñeca, microphone teca. Que el bigote grande, el perro la manteca.
Manteca, bigote, gigante, pequeño, cabeza es nieve, cerveza es bueno.
Buenos días, me gusta la papa fría. Bigote, la cabra es Cameron Díaz.
Yeah, boy! Yeah.
Tell us about Heal Club. That's one thing I really wanted to hear more about. You're a bariatric surgeon, so after all this time, Canada, back to Ecuador, back to United States, you get in, you study, you're a surgeon, bariatric weight loss. You've been doing this for a number of years. You excel at it, and then you had this brainstorm idea for Heal Club.
Yeah.
What is Heal Club? How does it work? Who should use it? Tell us everything about it.
Okay, so how was the idea born is because there is a ton of fitness up there. There's a ton of, you Google recipes, you can find anything and everything you want. But how do you know it's right for you? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I started seeing is this trend on different diets. Cabbage soup diet, intermittent fasting diet, the keto diet, right?
Yeah, South Beach diet.
The South Beach diet. but people don't really know what to do. How do they need to guide themselves? I mean, what does diet mean for me? Because each one of us is different, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing that kind of told me I need to do something to help this part was the fact that I would see bariatric patients and patients that had surgery several years before that have been very successful, and all of a sudden they're lost. But they seek help online. And right now, it's Facebook support groups, Instagram support groups, now TikTok support groups, where they come with the greatest ideas ever that I heard. A pouch reset, or do this diet or do the diet, but people don't really understand that the things that may be applicable for them are not applicable for a bariatric patient. Now, I want to define probably bariatric patient a little bit better. It's anyone that their BMI, height versus weight, qualifies them as obesity. Okay, so if they qualify as obesity, by definition, their body works different than somebody that wants to lose 20 pounds, want to lose 15 pounds. I want to be ready for the beach. I want to fit in the wedding dress.
Right. You're looking at patients that need to lose 200, 300 pounds, sometimes more.
And anyone over 50 pounds. So anyone that needs to lose over 50 pounds, their conditions are different. Their body works different. Their hormones function different. Their ability to move is different. Their ability to exercise is different. So they need a clear path on what they need to do and how to be guided to get to the point, okay, now I need to lose 20 pounds. I'll jump on the wagon, right? So my frustration was that they get lied. Everybody lies to them, sells them all this fake diets, fake ideas, for them to just
metabolism boosters and all sorts of things. Yeah.
Basically things that will make them lose the weight to regain it back, without really giving them the education and what they really need. So that's where the idea was born.
Okay.
How can I create something that's going to be tailored to you?
So who should use it? This is made for patients or providers to help their patients?
So we are developing right now. So we have two different ends. We have a client end, which is anybody that's looking to lose a significant amount of weight. So you put your information there, and through some calculation based on the information that you put, the app will create a diet plan and an exercise plan that is directly tailored to you, taking into account your weight, your ability to move. The exercise plan is based on your mobility level. So if you have certain injuries, I don't know, an ankle injury, a back problem, the app will take into account that before recommending you an exercise plan. The app will also take into account what your level of needing to lose weight is. If you need to lose, 50, 60, or 100 pounds, it will take that into account and build a diet. If you had bariatric surgery, it will ask you the question and then will modify your diet based on the fact that you had bariatric surgery. So it's directly tailored to the patient who's putting the information there.
Yeah.
And it learns. So you put the information there, it's going to give you a meal plan. You know what? I don't like eggs. So I go there, I don't like eggs. I'd rather have fish. So as you feed back the information into the app will learn that and will start eliminating out of your diet plan the things that you don't like.
What effects are you seeing for your clients? I mean, you've just launched this not even 6 months ago. So how is it going?
August the 5th.
Yeah. Okay. So it's very recent still.
So basically, the release of the product has been a stepwise. So the first step was to release it towards, the population that we want to help, right? And statistically speaking, we would have a conversion rate, which means I'm exposed to it, I'm willing to buy it and pay for it, of about 0.25%, so 0.25%. But we have reached almost 30% conversion rate of the people that acquires it.
Yeah.
So it's been a success that we really did not expect it.
That's great.
Well beyond what the statistics should do.
Right.
So on that point in September, we started digging into how we're going to develop the second end of the project. So what is the second end? Is to get providers to use the app on their clients to see what kind of results we get. But the question is, what does the provider actually need? If I have a weight loss clinic, what do I want from that app to make my life easier? To be able to, because what typically is, you go over there, you get some counseling, and then they give you a sheet and says, this is what you need to eat, this is what you don't need to eat, right? But
you're right.
How's that person going to
brochure.
cook? Okay, eat chicken, right? Make sure it's grilled, but don't put 2 pounds of butter on top of it, you know? So basically, the end goal on the provider end is to develop an area where they can go into a portal and input all the data of the patient. I don't know, this height, this weight, this the BMI, this the intended weight loss. And at the end, they will put, okay, this patient may have diabetes, this patient may have renal failure, or this patient may have any kind of comorbidities, and push that into the system. So how is that going to be passed on to the client is into a meal plan with ingredients and recipes, an exercise plan with exact indications and videos on how to do it, and an educational plan. Okay, if you're a diabetic, these are the videos and blogs that you need to read and learn. And then the provider is going to be able to see, okay, my patient, this is what my patient did. But we are in the, stepwise development.
Right, sure. Yeah, that's kind of, that's not beta 2. That's like farther down.
Correct.
So here's a question that I often hear about my friends who develop and create apps. Is the concept is great, but that back end that's where they lose a lot of hair and a lot of sleep. So tell us about anybody who is trying to build an app or something like this. Where I see you rubbing your face, you're like, yeah. So tell us about this back end algorithm calculation, all the things that need to work just right without the bugs, so you get that output.
So the first thing that people need to understand in anything, and that's just not for the app. If you're going to do anything, if you're thinking about opening a store or you're thinking about creating an app, you got to do your market research. That's going to give you the answers. It's very expensive, but it's going to save you a lot of money at the end. So that will be one. The other one is do not underestimate the cost of technology. You can create anything and everything as long as you have unlimited budget. Right? But once you start creating, it's just amazing the detail that the attention to the detail that you need to pay. Because it doesn't matter if you think you're being detailed enough, then you're going to find out that you weren't.
Yeah, you weren't. Yeah.
And how do you find out? Because something's not working.
That's right.
Something that's not connecting between A and B.
Thank you so much for creating that app. I can't wait to see how it grows and develops. And we actually utilized that information in an ad campaign and some articles in Medical Professionals magazine over the course of 6 months. So if you're okay with it, I'd love to take credit for the success of the app. Is
Absolutely.
that okay? Can we do that publicly?
You can take it all.
I'll take. Thank you. So let's go to some personal questions real quick. I had some people write in, call in. They want to know some personal things about you. I guess I'll go from the the most important questions down to the least important. But first question, some callers and people want to know about it. Is it difficult being so handsome?
It is. It is. I would say probably I can tell you the most difficult thing to learn to do.
Okay.
Is laparoscopic suturing. Not that you say you can do it, to really be good at it.
Can you skateboard?
Yeah, I can do surgery with both hands.
Both hands
equally,
and no eyes. You can just feel it out.
That's what surgery
like
is
rebuilding
about.
a carburetor. You are the Jimi Hendrix of surgery. Jimi Hendrix, he just took a right-handed guitar and flipped it upside down and plays it left-handed. If you could meet anyone besides me, who would it be?
If I can meet anyone?
Yeah, like a hero or a really good-looking person like myself. Who would you like to meet?
So I don't think I want to meet anyone, but I want to be on someone's head. If you ask me, I would like to be able to, get into, I don't know, Elon Musk's head. Not to be him, to try to understand their train of thought.
Oh, I got you. I would love to be in Elon Musk's head because I would love to know how he pronounces his son's name. I still don't know how he pronounces that weird Egyptian hieroglyphic thing that he did. What are some things that are true about you that it's unassuming? Like people would never, ever equate, oh my goodness, Dr. Jacome likes to...
I like Gothic drawing. And I like to draw skulls, gargoyles, all the dark sketching. That's probably what people wouldn't guess about me.
Interesting. So are you an artist too?
No, not at all.
But you like to doodle around and draw around with
Correct.
those things? What's something that you've never been able to do well?
Math.
Welcome to the club. Last question. What's something you think everyone should try at least once?
Bungee jumping.
Bungee jumping. What did that do for you?
Talking about liberating.
Yeah.
Talking about liberating.
Well, listen, thank you so much for being on the show. I've enjoyed.
Thank you.
We got to have you come back because I didn't get to all the questions I wanted to ask you. But right now, if a provider is interested in learning about Heal Club, how can they find it? How can they contact you?
So the website is healclub.com. You can go to the website and there's an area where you can actually email me directly or hello@healclub.com.
Okay. We'll put those in the show notes and also on the bottom right here. Right here where my fingers are pointing. Right here. Heal Club. Go to Heal Club.
Right now.
Here.
There. Click.
There it is. There it is. Awesome. Well, great. Well, thank you for being on the show once again, and
you.
hope you have a great evening.
Thank you. You
You're
too.
welcome.